Hello, and welcome to another episode of the SENDhelp podcast. And today I have Anna, and Anna is, well, a parent for almost, but she's also a business owner and she has her own travel business. And I'm going to hand over to her now so she can explain that. And we're going to talk about, well, just life in general, I suppose. We'll probably cover quite a few topics, but just the day-to-day life of why is it different for us compared to, the neurotypical person next door. Um, so yeah, without further ado, here's Anna.
Fab. Thanks so much, Nate. So I'm Anna, mum to two teens. Very shortly, they're going to both be 15, but not twins. So you work that out.
Yeah.
Both non-neurotypical. And yeah, so let me talk about my business a bit first,
Mhm.
mainly because it's linked up to what my family's about. And certainly without the way that we are, this business wouldn't run and wouldn't be as successful as it is. So I own a travel business. I started in the industry. I had no experience 5 years ago. And yeah, I work really, really hard. Now, I know, Nate, when I'm saying that to you, you know what I mean. That is my third baby. But it's Travel with the Taylors, and we're incredibly successful on the top 1% of our marketing company, which is amazing. And I help people. And interestingly, a lot of families similar to ours. Yeah, I help people travel more and earn from travel. But I would say most importantly for those Send families out there, your business, your rules on your terms. And I have never seen someone who's a fellow ADHDer who doesn't have that drive if they love it. That I thought it was normal to work 7 days a week, Nate. No? Is that not normal?
Yeah, no, that's it.
Outside
Yeah.
the world? But it took a long time. I'm coming up 45 this year, and it took a long time for me to find out what I was about. And I learned a lot of that through my children's diagnosis.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, as I say, they are both about to be 15. So my daughter's 11 months older, but my son was the first to be diagnosed with ADHD. I always knew. I think it's fair to say my husband probably wasn't as aware, but actually now looking back, I always knew because actually I saw myself at his
Yeah,
age.
yeah.
Yeah, in my son. And with the diagnosis, about 6 months later, I was like, hold on, our daughter too. But because we got the diagnosis slightly later than children are getting now, we'd found ways for our family to survive. And I say survive because you look into our world, you see us on Instagram. I also we're not polished, we're very real. But I've grown that Instagram. We've done very well as a family. But what you don't always see is the day to day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
You know yourself, you look at
Mhm.
Instagram for a minute. Someone might be
Yeah.
sitting down having a cup of tea and might look at my story, but there's lots of things that we had to adapt. And I want to say at this point of the podcast, I'm aware that every family where parents, kids have different needs looks different. And I'm aware that in some ways we're incredibly lucky. We certainly have the supports of schools. However, I still feel we are left in a bit of no man's land.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
And you look for people like you. We're human. It's what we do. We look for people who get this. And, it was only recently, really, that I spoke to even our best friends about it. It was almost like when I had the kid's diagnosis in my hand that I said, this is how our life is, because we're all quite, let's use the word lively. We're lively. We have a lot of fun. We're sort of a happy go lucky family. Yeah.
Mm.
Because of what I do, we get to go to beautiful places. We love flying. We love traveling. We love going to new places. But actually, the adaptations has already been made, if that makes sense, through learning what the kids needed.
Yeah, yeah.
And people always say, my husband, I say to him, which part of parenthood do you love the most? And he's like, I love it now. They are mini adults.
Mm.
And I say, I loved it when they were tiny because they were both so close in age. They were both in my arms. But then we had a structure then. When you
Mm.
have a baby and everyone's like, they need to have a bottle at 6, they need to be fed and go
Yeah.
to bed at 7. It worked then.
Mhm.
So for me, being more at home with the kids, we sort of had to survive. But as they grew, they changed. And even though I love where our family is now and it's amazing and we do lots of things with each child, so I will take my daughter, vice versa, I'll take my son and we'll spend time one-on-one and we do things together, it's still quite no one really knows what's going on, mate. So we have
Yeah.
our family WhatsApp chat. For example, tonight I was like, it's really important this afternoon. This is what's happening. What does everyone want for dinner? So we have to ask the kids every day what they want. Because certainly with my daughter's needs, she has the thing with texture. And to another family, if we were sitting out having dinner, you might not know that. It might be called fussy, and I hate that word because it's not fussy. But I will run down to the shops every day and get what they want. Yeah.
I think, yeah, something that I say it like, so when it comes to like neurodiverse and it comes to the food, it's very easy to see it as fussy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it took me a while to realize that I do the same thing that I was annoyed at my own son for doing. But it's not about, it is fussy, but it's because of the extra senses. So when normal people would just like smell it, taste it, and maybe the look of it, that's free. People with autism and ADHD have multiple, and even them three senses are on fire. So they're like, really sensitive. So it's a slight change in like the slight smell and the different brands. It's just like texture. Texture is a massive thing. That's
Yeah.
like a whole different. There's things that I like, for example, that I know I like cheese, but I won't eat it out of block or hardly ever because it
Yeah.
comes the way it does.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so hard to explain that to someone, isn't it? And it becomes really, really fussy. You're like, I'll only have it if it's melted and it's on this and it's melted like this.
Yes.
And it's like, but it's because of texture and it's because of feel. It's because of even things touching. There's sorts of yeah. So just, yeah. So I just wanted to get that it's not as simple as people just being fussy, is it? And people thinking it's being fussy, although it appears like it.
And I think that's ADHD or additional needs as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Because so yes, R2 have got ADHD with anxiety attached, both of them. Probably a couple of other things, but we're waiting for diagnosis. But doesn't mean they're the same.
Yeah, that's it.
We're a family, doesn't mean they're the same. Actually, we're all four of us are very different. Hence why even when we got our son's diagnosis, it took a while for it to sink in that actually our daughter had it too,
Mm-hmm.
because her symptoms were so different. But the food thing, we've learned to come to adapt to work for our family. Yeah. And it's quite hard if we were to go to a friend's house for dinner and they weren't to understand it. So because she's polite, she would sort of eat round. So we had a roast dinner on Sunday and she put the chicken in four corners. We had a square plate in the four corners of plate to make it look like she'd eaten it. I said, you don't have to do that in this house. Just don't eat it.
Yeah.
But because she's polite and probably masked for the best part of 14 years, it's sort of her brain thinks she had to do that, where, you know, I'm old school. I'm from the place of, you know, the kids with ADHD and autism, well, it didn't exist in the 80s. Well, we know it did, but they were the naughty kids. And, you know, you see certain lot of women at my place in life that have masked all their life. And that's a problem. That's a
Yeah.
problem. And you know this, but they only get the diagnosis when they get their kids diagnosed. And then, you know, literally for me, my husband sent me a podcast. You need to listen to this. And I was like, why? And then I was like, oh my gosh. And it just made sense. So I don't have an official diagnosis. I don't need it. My job is to care for these guys. Yeah. And make sure they're okay. And actually, as the mum, you put yourself, anyway, as a parent, you put yourself last. But my needs, so I don't eat properly by any stretch of the imagination, because actually it's more important than they do. Yeah. And you come to a thing of actually, this is what they want. This is what they're eating at the moment. I was laughing this morning. I meant to take a picture. I'm going to send it to you, Nate. I got the teriyaki sauce out the fridge. How many do you think were in there? We had four, half open, half used. So their thing at the moment is teriyaki, hummus and pita. There'll be at least four and some will be off. And it's very interesting. And you think it all makes sense. And it's a small thing, but it's a thing that those families, you get it. You get it. And it's not as easy. And sometimes they can take a bite of things and say, I can't eat anymore. And it's not naughty. It's not defiant. It's actually, they cannot eat anymore of that.
Yeah. I think as well, it's very closely linked, especially with the autism, especially with younger children. It can also be linked into the anxiety, and it gets worse or better with the restrictions depending on the period of life they're going through. So if they're going through a really anxious time, that seems to up. And I notice with my son, that seems to. And if I really be honest about myself, I think I do it too as well. Like if I'm going through a really stressful time, I then don't like a lot of things, and I start doing it now. Actually, I'm doing it at the moment, like not eating sugar. Like I don't want to eat sugar anymore, so I'm not eating any of this. Like it just becomes a control thing, I think, really, doesn't it? Like out of thing, and it's very under spoken about because there's a massive link for things, especially with art we've been talking about now, and then
Yeah.
the mental health, the eating, it's all connected. The senses that go into that, it's all linked to all one thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And those things, before we even had a diagnosis, we sort of come to manage. We were never those parents, oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. We are incredibly relaxed as parents. We live in North London. It's very full on. It's very busy, but we are relaxed as parents. My husband, bless him, my youngest he is like a social butterfly, loves going to his friends' houses. My husband spends all weekend picking him up from wherever, from seeing his friends. Our daughter prefers being closer to home and going out sometimes. That's okay. But it's literally, we are yes parents, and some might judge. But do you know what? There's enough no's been said to them outside of
Yeah.
the safe zone so far in their lives. It's not going to be us.
I mean, yeah, society takes it away from us. As much as we want to be disciplinarians and normal parents and stuff like that, why would we? Because all we see is them getting told that by everybody, and even random people in the street could make that judgment or make that comment, and it's just it takes it away from even having a chance. And why would we want to do that? But then ultimately, I think we find a better way of doing it anyway, by the
We,
way we
yeah,
parent, isn't it?
survival way. I remember when they were tiny and they were so like full of energy and fun and dancing. And we were in the supermarket. I'm not going to say who it was, just in case they watch. But someone that's known locally said to me, "Why are you not telling them off?" And I said, "Because they're having fun and they're not causing any problem." So even then, I go back to it now, but it was always fun because you're allowed to dance around and sing in our house and make funny noises when you're gaming. That's okay. That's our norm. It might not be the same norm as someone next door, but our norm is okay. And if it means that we have a happy family, my husband and I are complete those yes parents.
Yeah, I think as well. Like when you said, like I say this all the time. I've said rants about this before. It's not about the discipline, is it really at all? It's not about saying no to things. It's about enabling them to live a fuller life. And if you're really thinking about what you're stopping when you're stopping most behaviour like that, it is just silly things like dancing around, being a bit energetic. It's nothing too serious. They're not going around punching people in the face.
Right?
Like it's because socially that's not normal. It's not
Yeah.
normal for someone to be singing or dancing around. That makes other people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So what? Like,
Harming anyone. They're not doing anything
yeah,
wrong. So there's impulse control involved for my son, certainly for protection of him. Sometimes we have to talk things through, but nothing major has happened. But our norm, it doesn't mean, I find that society, they really want you to fit into their boxes. And, we've talked about this before we even started recording. In every way, you go to the doctors, did they do this? Did they do this at this age? What colour is their skin? I say to my kids, don't
yeah,
fill that in. Do not fill that in. We are not
mm,
going into boxes. And they're not going into boxes because of the way their brain is. I'm not having that because they will. I look forward and I think this is why I'm never going to shrink who they are.
yeah,
They're incredible. And you know what? In life, they're going to be fine. And yeah, they might not do every GCSE. Look, I was put into a box and I was made to sit to take my GCSEs because that's what happened in, the 90s. And my brain wasn't made for it.
yeah,
It took till middle age for me to literally be like, this is who I am and I'm good at this. And this business is absolutely fantastic for us in so many ways, but I'm not having that happen, like wasting half a life because people want you to be a certain way. People are well-meaning. Like I really think the world generally, 99.9% of this world, people are decent folk. But
mm,
giving me advice on what they should be eating or what they should be doing, I'm not interested because come and live a day. Because see
yeah.
them when they're struggling, because what you're seeing, especially when you have got a profile on socials, that's such a snippet of the day. Such a,
It is.
and there's so much that goes on behind, the days when they don't want to go to school. And it's not just they're not being naughty or when they are behaving in a different way, but they're trying to communicate. And that could still happen at teenager. It doesn't stop when they become teenagers. Sometimes
It,
they
it,
can't say it.
it's like as well when it comes to like the anxiety about not going to school and stuff. It's almost like they think they're rebelling against like they're us.
Yeah,
Like these kids are 7 and 8 and they don't know each other. They're all doing the same thing.
yeah,
That's the issue. You're missing the point. It doesn't matter what excuse you could want to keep put of why these kids are got failing and blah blah blah. How could every kid unanimously be anxious about school across the board? Without even knowing each other, without it being a phase, and they're
yeah,
being too young to be in social media and it being like I'm just going to rebel or this is my excuse. It's not a 13, 14-year-old thing. You're stalking like 6, 7, 8,
yeah.
like, and going onwards. Like by the time they're 14, they're probably not, they're probably broken by that time. Like,
Right. And that's and you see it and you must talk to so many parents and that have seen it in their own selves and that have gone another way, I'm just not prepared to have it. And we had, with my son, we had the school avoidance, and this was long before his diagnosis, but it all made such sense when we got that piece of paper, because he was out of school for 2 months.
Mm.
And even well-meaning relatives were like, he needs to go to school. And I was like, no. I remember ringing my husband. My husband was in the office and I was like, I'm not making him go to school. He was literally screaming and crying on the floor. He was young. He couldn't cope. He couldn't come. There was an issue, a situation, and the school let him down. And I said to my husband, I'm never walking him through that door again. And my husband went, all right. Now, luckily, we've got that strong relationship where not very often do we have to say something really direct, like he's not doing that. But I know vice versa, if it was Neil in that position and said to me, Anna, it's a
Yeah.
no, I'd be like, okay. I respect the
Mhm.
fact, I respect your judgment. And he was home with me. And then he went back to a safe environment. That other environment was not safe. And even with my amazing spidey senses, which I'm sure you can, understand, I didn't get it right.
I think it's good to highlight the fact that it's not yours again. It's not a success story in a sense, but it highlights that sometimes it's just the environment, in
Yeah.
the sense of you can just change schools, and that could make such a massive, massive difference. They don't necessarily have to be like a specialist school or something like that. Just a change of the way they do it and approach means masses, like sometimes. And it's not, but then, as you said, them 2 months that they're out of school is awful. And I think, like what you said, I think I done it a bit more impulsively than you did. I didn't have no conversation. I
Yeah.
went in there and I decided it kind of wound me up before I went there. I was kind of realizing what they were trying to do more and more as I was getting ahead. And I was like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not letting this happen. And I was like, there's one thing I'm not going to not stand on. And if they don't budge about this, then I don't know what to do. I didn't have a plan and it didn't budge. So I just went, okay, well, he's not coming back to school. And then that was the right choice. And I just done it. But like, it's for our generation, for me even, that's a bit of a like, oh God, when I was in school, that would be a massive thing to do. And then I suppose in your generation, even that's even more of a, they
Yeah.
need to be in school, they have to be in education. But the reality is, at the moment, the education is the harm. And I think it's hard to get through to people in the older generations that they can't think, because they're so tunnel vision about education, they can't see it that
Yeah.
way, that this is education system is the issue. Like, it's the issue across the board. Like, and it really needs to be looked at.
Show me someone with hyperactive ADHD who can sit down and do those
Mhm.
lessons from start to finish. You see, at my son's school, before we even had the diagnosis, and it was a school that encouraged us to get it, he said, oh no, I'll go for a walk around the playground. I said, you didn't tell me that. So they'd already realised that he needed some time.
Mhm.
That makes
Yeah.
that makes him feel safe, because they're saying, here you go, here's this, take that, and then come back and do the best you can.
It's just differences like that, isn't it?
And
Little changes. I'm not asking for the world to
yeah,
change. Again, we talk about systematic changes, but that's not systematic change. That's just someone being nice, I feel.
yeah,
That is
someone being
someone just
nice,
being
and then
human.
he feels held, and then you're like, right, okay, he wants to go to school. He feels safe. He feels he can do it. The
Would
exams.
not want friends. Like, idiot. What kid would not want friends and not go to school deliberately, to leave themselves isolated, to not fit in, to not know what's going on at their
Yeah,
age range, and to not have any you can't do that through a screen like on Xbox or something.
I know.
Every kid wants friends, physical friends.
Yeah, I know, I know. But even though the diagnosis really, compared to other people, came quickly and quite early, you know, there was still so much learning from them growing up. But, that whole thing of the middle-aged parent and the mirror, and you think, my God, literally for the best part of 40 years, I've been doing what people have told me to do, and it's not all right. It's not all right because
No,
it affects
no,
you.
it
And
does.
if I wasn't in such a safe environment here in this house, like the four of us, I think my life would look very different, Nate.
Yeah,
It
if it wasn't for autism in itself, and I got pushed into the direction by my mum really early on, at like 16, to volunteer. But I was literally like, you're not going to come here if you're not going to volunteer. Very smart move. I loved it.
Yeah,
That took my direction to where I am now. If I didn't have that, again, different. It's a different, and it's not because I wanted to do that. It's because I know what I would have done. You just start to beat yourself up. You
yeah.
start to then become this bad person. You start to do to the things you thought, fuck, what else am I going to be?
What have I done
Like,
more?
yeah.
And, even working on that middle age, it's hard. It's hard. And what
Mhm.
you also get is, Nate, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, is the people that decide that this is the right way for you to do something and tell you, and there's nothing that pisses off an ADHDer more than being told, right?
Yeah.
When actually you've already thought round it 750 times in
Yeah.
incredible brains and worked out the best outcome.
I know, you're at stage 1. What are you talking about? That was the first problem I come to. I've found 6 different solutions since then,
Right?
and I've still got to
You
yeah.
discuss them with someone and chewed their ear off. But do you know what I mean? Actually, and that advocacy for your family and for yourself, it's not easy, but my God, it's the right thing for the children. And that's
Oh, 100%.
the
But do you know what
mistake.
I like to say as well? Someone said this to me the other day, and it was really nice for me to hear because I worry a lot about what I put on social media about, especially because I say about his name and stuff
Yeah,
like that. And I feel like, especially with the school, I thought, oh, he's not going to get into a school because of what I've done. But what someone said to me on the outside, all he's going to see is his dad all didn't stop fighting for him.
yeah,
And that is the message that is more powerful than anything. That even though we're having to fight, that's what our kids see, and are hoping that they know they don't have to. All we can do is make sure they don't have to fight as hard.
yeah. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So when they sit here in however many years and have a conversation with someone, they'll say, but do you know what? My mum and dad did not sit down and they did the right thing by me and they
Yeah.
supported me. They didn't make me sit in that school desk without a break. I was allowed to
Mhm.
run around the playground. I was allowed to have my fidget toys at the desk. One of them loves those rings, the fidget rings. The other one loves like the
Oh yeah.
squishies, like the Play-Doh. And you then take it back to when they were little and what they were playing with. It all makes sense.
Mhm.
One was obsessed with Lego. I've got about 750 million bits of Legos still in the playroom to sort out. It will happen. But it was that hyper focus. And
Mhm.
you read through, you get a diagnosis in your hand and you're like, bloody hell, how did I not get this quicker? How did I,
Yeah.
so tuned in, not get this quicker? But do you know what? We'd learnt ways to survive. If stepping through our door is chaos, I'm sorry you feel that way, but do you know what? Our chaos, it fucking works amazingly. And there's a lot
Uh,
of incredible personalities in this house.
And I think they create the perfect illusion again that there is something called a perfect household. That
Yeah,
there is a household that there is out there you can go in and be seen normal. Because I'm yet to find one. No matter if they've got neurodiversity or neurotypical, not
yeah,
everybody has quite. And the fact that again, with people still hold on to this, what's normal, it's so sad because it's not. We're all unique. How
yeah,
can it be normal? How can we all know again without communicating with each other what to do the same? We're all different personalities. With neurodiversity, again, I think it's easy to miss because you adapt so quickly to what's in your house
yeah,
that you're never not normal. So
yeah,
like very quickly from like 1, 2, 3, 4, as you're going up the ages, you're just constantly adapting, adapting, adapting. You don't compare yourself to another family, like unless it's really obvious. Like, do you know what I mean? Unless like, got really bad Chinese behavior at home and stuff, that's the
yeah.
line of the quad. But just the day-to-day things, as you said, like having 4 half-empty things in the fridge, that just becomes normal. And you're
Arnold,
like, until you
yeah.
look at it and you're like, oh wow. And then you feel guilty because you're like, this is my fault. And then I look up and I'm like, no, it's her fault, my mum. So I just pass the buck by cutwards.
Honestly, and yeah, there's so much of that. So for me, I'm adopted.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know. We don't know where that's come from.
Oh, it's definitely their
And
fault.
and if 15 years ago when we had the kids, if you'd said to me they could be both so ADHD but so different, I'd have been like, no. Like what you think ADHD is and what it is,
Well, back then, would you even have
different.
took that you could have a daughter that had ADHD?
Yeah, yeah, I know. It just didn't, when I was young, it didn't exist. And even when they were born then, and people would say, oh, it's because he's a boy and she's a girl. It's the most wrong fucking thing I've heard throughout all of this. No, their brains, yes, they're both ADHD,
Mhm.
but their brains are completely different. There's a lot of, look, in this house, there's a lot of parking tickets and half empty things and things are last minute Larry.
That's a big thing as well. I've just got a parking ticket.
I mean, we collect them. I'll tell you this story, and this will make my husband laugh when he listens back. So we actually had 3 children. Our first child passed away when I was pregnant, and yeah, she was stillborn. And so the second pregnancy, which was our daughter Ava, who I'm talking about, I got pregnant very quickly, and obviously it was scary,
Mhm.
incredibly scary. But they're both here, and that's amazing. But when I gave birth to her, my husband had £330 worth of parking tickets because, bless him, he was getting me to the hospital because I was an anxious mess and he would park anywhere. And that's part of
Yeah.
caring. But also, I was in such a mess we now know why, the anxiety,
Mm.
mixed with ADHD because of fear. Yeah, £330. And it's a bit of a running joke, like in our family. But it's part of the deal because your mind is on one thing and it's the thing that's right in front of you. And if it is, you've got to go and get that food and you parking might not read the sign properly, you'll forget to put the ticket in. But we live in a place where they will give you tickets like going out of fashion. So we've quite often got, it's the ADHD tax. It's like the food.
Yeah.
It's part of the deal. Unfortunately, and I hate us for this, we throw quite a lot of food away. Is it
Mhm.
wrong? It's not ideal, but did we all do it deliberately? No. So it doesn't matter. We're trying. It's survival because things
Oh, yeah.
happen. things happen. And, you know, seeing the difference in them and how when they are allowed to be themselves, how wonderful they are. That's what it's about for me. And it doesn't matter what. We've got GCSEs this year and then next year. And bless her, our daughter, and you know, I say this, she works twice as hard as anyone I've ever met because she is determined. She is silent, determined, and she will do incredibly, but she has to work twice as hard. And it's hard to see because even with this relaxed parenting, and her diagnosis, and she gets her extra time and she can, you know, go for a walk and take breaks, yada, yada, yada. She can use a computer, she can use headphones. She still has to work twice as hard. And for me as her mum, I find that really hard because our system is still, we have to do this. This is what we have to do. Homeschooling, even then, 15 years ago, that wasn't really a thing. It is
That was
more.
homeschooling. You're mad. Like what?
I want to do it.
Like, yeah, what do you mean homeschooling? Like you're going to do it
I mean,
yourself?
not
You
do the
crazy?
exams.
Who the hell do you think you are? Like, innit? That's what it'd have been like. Can you imagine that 15 years ago? The
Yeah,
audacity of it. They're
yeah.
telling me they're going to do it themselves. Like,
I mean, could you imagine? I mean, if I had to homeschool someone, I'd be like, let's build another business. Let's make some
yeah.
money now. But yeah, because there are ways around things, but it wasn't a thing. So, you know, we fit into that box that I hate boxes, and that kid works. That kid, my son's brain is different. Luckily for him, he's got his dad's mirror brain. So he can look at something and remember it and write it down. So they are different in that way, but different struggles. And you know, the mental health thing, I'm only going to touch on it briefly, but the mental health attached with ADHD is no joke. No joke at all.
Oh God, yeah, I could personally vouch for that myself, going through ADHD, and this is me knowing I've got ADHD since 11. So it doesn't, as much as I know some people with their diagnosis, like, oh, it would have changed. It doesn't much, in the sense of it does just get the awareness, but you can't stop it still. Like, and when you type in 11, 12, 13, 14, you're very immature. So
Yeah.
they're wasted years of you trying to figure out about ADHD because you just have it at that age.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on, go ahead, yeah, because I think it's very important to touch on mental health and ADHD.
And actually, that was the start of something. Was the start of the diagnosis? It was in COVID. Actually, I said my son's a social butterfly, and it was that he was struggling to be at home. Now, I've talked about our daughter that died. She actually died from an infection that I caught, which means I have health anxiety. Fair enough for everything we've been through. So I was like, we can't go out because we're all going to get COVID and die. Right. My dad was very poorly then. Sadly, my dad's no longer with us. But, you know, I was so scared that we were going to catch COVID and die, or catch COVID and give it to my dad and he was going to die. So I was like, no, we can't go out. We can't go out. Whereas it's the worst thing for my son because he's a social butterfly. He needs people. You know, later on, we did start going to the park and stuff, but he really struggled. And then I was like, hold on, there's something else going on. So it was my husband and I in those dark times of COVID that we all remember when we drank every drink that we had in the cabinet. And, you know, maybe we do need to go for a walk. And I was like, there's something else going on. And that's when, because of he struggled and he went back to school, his school, he was allowed back. So I spoke to the head and they were amazing. We're like, send him back in. And they safely went with a few other, you know, doctors' kids, key workers' kids. And that was sort of like, okay, there's something else going on there. This is not just a kid that's struggling. This is a kid where this brain is different.
Did you get kickback from it being COVID? Because I hear that's quite common because they use that as the excuse the following year of why these kids were presenting with ADHD, but it wasn't ADHD, it's because COVID happened. And that went on for a couple of years.
No. Luckily, I hadn't heard that.
Thank God.
For us,
Yeah.
it's literally, we got the diagnosis and then that started the ball rolling. Whereas you never know. I mean, what is normal? That's the other thing. What is normal? Everyone's normal is different. I think the only thing that makes me sad is we didn't know sooner. There was things that could have been put in place in schools sooner to make their life easier. And that's even with my hyper awareness of things. I didn't know. And you feel...
I mean, not going would have helped the most, I think.
Yeah.
It is great. Yeah. Just skip school and we'll just go straight into the college work and the trades and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But again, hindsight is there for a reason, isn't it? And I suppose there's always, again, that's not your fault because, again, it's stuff that's not our responsibility as a parent. And I think this is where we always think that we feel responsible. But they was in school. The school see them and function in a classroom. They should have picked that sort of stuff up. That shouldn't have been stuff that you had to pick up and then you forced through and then you missed. It should be stuff that the school have missed.
Well, going back to his first thing when he was out of school, I think really then there should have been conversations. Thank goodness I adore his school that he's at. And they did say to us, right, we think this is a good idea. So they did. Her school, they didn't. we went to them and went, bit of paper,
Mm.
what can we do? But then you know what? The schools also, there's other kids who I'm hearing who are being diagnosed later, in the same situation. And the schools are overrun. The schools, they go to different schools, all boys, all girls, but the schools are overrun. But it's not suddenly there's loads of kids that are neurodiverse. It's just that so many were not diagnosed and struggled on. Even though we're having this conversation, I still see it as this will be a good news story because we're so aware. I'm not
Yeah.
going to let the things happen. I'm not going to let them be told things that I've been told, through my life. I just won't let it happen. Whilst I'm on
Mhm.
this planet, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, it's that, and I think it's that approach as well that's going to pave the way for the future like that, and then hopefully they can kind of take lead with the change, isn't it? That we're still fighting a bit of fire, but I think it's got to change because of it's in so many families, and once it's in your family, it's got you. I'm sorry, it's got you. It just needs
It's not going
one of you in that family, and it's game over, and
anywhere.
it's just that's it, game over. You're neurodiverse now. Welcome to the club, and it's crazy. Like even the people that do have the kickback about it online and saying the stuff, but now
Yeah,
you know full well if they had a kid that was neurodiverse, they would instantly, in seconds, be the same as us. And
yeah.
it's not even like it's not even that hard to point. Like it's just you just have to be a parent of at the end to understand. Did you going back to the diagnosis? Do you think you struggled a bit more with your daughter because she was a girl?
Yeah, because it was looking in the mirror. I
Yeah,
was I was a good girl. Whereas actually when my son was struggling in COVID, really struggling, she was upstairs studying twice as hard as everyone else, but she was highly masking. So I feel like, I let her down. I
but
didn't know.
but yeah, but you're not. Yeah, but you wouldn't know if you didn't know yourself. You're not going to know.
And also I was struggling, right? Because of the whole
Yeah,
infection thing, and the whole COVID thing. And my
yeah.
husband was trying to keep it all okay.
And as I said, when you're coming from the generation that me and you are, we actually got was told the knowledge that girls couldn't have ADHD. So we was never even looking to
Yeah,
start. It's only now that people are like, especially the last 5 years, when you're getting people diagnosed in their 50s, their 60s, that it's going up the chain. Like, do you know what I mean? So it wasn't even something that was looked at or even researched. So there
yeah.
wasn't much to go on, was there? Really, apart from if they're not being aggressive or hyperactive, I don't really know what it is.
And you didn't hear of it until you're in the car, right? You said
Yeah,
once it's in the family, it's in. I had that
yeah,
vision from Stranger Things and Vecna right then when you said that. That's why I was
yeah,
laughing because I was like, it's in. So both the kids have it. Therefore, it's quite likely their children will, if they have
yeah.
children. But
Taking over the world.
yeah, it's now that's the way it is. But also that thing where we attract people like us, right?
Mhm.
So, you think, who do I look at business, who do I really connect with? Oh, I really like funny. We're on the same page here. We're actually quite similar.
Yeah,
Sending the voice notes. You know yourself, you send a voice note, it's 75 minminutes long. There's lots of
yeah.
bars, and you're sending it to someone that's like you. The ones that you can
Mm,
really take that mask off,
mm.
not many people that you actually
No,
feel
you just surround yourself with the safe ones, don't you?
you do. And you
Yeah,
see it, and you see it for actually, it's really nice when the kids mask slip and they are themselves, because you want to encourage that, because she spent enough time with the mask on in COVID trying to be a good girl, even though we were like, it doesn't matter. It'll all be fine. You'll all be fine. You'll be running the world. You'll be
yeah,
entrepreneurs. So my husband's in traditional, he's got a traditional job. So we couldn't be more different. So you sort of think which way the kid's going to go. And then you see them when they are on full them and you think, okay, they're going to be ruling the world. It's all going to be okay.
yeah,
We're positive souls, positive souls.
yeah.
It's going to be okay. Everything will be all right. Nothing's a problem. Everything's last minute, but it's not a problem. And do you know what? I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it. They don't want to go to school on Friday. I don't make them go to school.
I think that's the opinion of most parents at the moment, to be honest with you. I think if as I said, if you're where in the hell did these kids get so anxious about going to school? Something is not being looked at. If it was the other way around, you'd have social services in your back in a second. If your kid ever kicked off the way that these kids kick off about going to school, going home, oh my God, that would be very, very worrying.
Yeah.
And why should we keep putting them back in that situation over and over and over again? Then we become accountable, and then we can't say nothing but it's our fault as well. They've gone through it. So we
Yeah.
have to step in. You have to step in, otherwise you're going to watch it. No one else is going to take them up but us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I'm going to try and word this the best way I can.
Mhm.
Because we are lucky in life, I feel that there's a bit of they'll be okay. They'll be
Mhm.
okay. But actually, the struggles would look very similar, I would imagine, to other families in similar positions.
Exactly.
The mental health attachment to neurodiversity, the unknown, the waiting for, my daughter's medicated. That wasn't simple. We've got an amazing doctor, but it still wasn't simple. We had to try 3 different medications. And, I've been running around, funny enough, got another parking ticket because I wasn't supposed to park there trying to get her medication. But,
Yeah.
all of that and then her reaction to the medication, it's the same. And if you have more than one child, multiple children, and you're sort of, we've talked about this, and you're trying to say, well, should he do that? Should she do that? Well, this medication might work for one and might not work for the other. Do we need it? And then they like the focus, but then what about the side effects? And then you can't get the bloody medication.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy. Yes, we go and pay for ours, but it doesn't mean it's any easier. And, we've got an amazing pharmacy, and I'm like, can you get these for me? And they're like, we can. But that doesn't
Yeah.
happen overnight. You're panicking because you're like, what happens if she doesn't take it today? Is she going
Yeah.
to do her schoolwork? Should he be taking something?
Yeah.
Where do I go for advice? You feel like I had a chat to a mum, and she said to me, "My gosh," and she said, "You know a lot." I said, "No, I don't. It's just lived experience. I'm not saying I'm completely knowledgeable, but what we can do as parents, we can support each other, and that's where you come in. This sort of thing, and there'll be parents that resonate and go, actually, yeah, I resonate to what Anna's saying.
Yeah.
It's like a club, that you get each other, and everyone's life looks different, but my God, we can support each other.
And what they've accidentally done, and I hope this, the only positive I can see of all of this pressure and stuff that's going on is they've accidentally, there's 2 things that they've created. They've created a minority that's not a minority that's actually going to slowly creep up and be half the
Yeah.
population, but also half the population that are going to go into this without thinking about race, religion, class, whether how much money they've got. Because as much as everyone is a personality in this and everyone has a different case, they go through exactly the same problems
Yeah.
going through. So it makes us all the same in a
Yeah.
sense we can relate. So no matter what the kid, you can have a non-verbal to a high functioning, it's
Yeah.
still the same. Like
Yeah.
you're going through the same. You could have someone that's like, you could have like a millionaire literally going through it. As soon as they have the same kid, they don't get no shortcuts.
No.
Like, if anything, it might even hurdle it even more because there might be less knowledge out in that sector or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy that how it's actually bringing everybody together like that. And I hope that after the changes happen, that stays, because then that'd be a nice harmony for the world to go into, wouldn't it? Like,
Yeah.
it's not even caring about nothing. Like, even like it doesn't. You don't even have the conversation, do you? If you've got a send parent, you don't even care about
No.
race, religion,
No.
sexual preference. They don't even come into the equation.
No.
You become best mates without even going into any of that. Like,
Yeah.
it's mental.
And that's
It's really.
human behavior. That's how we should be as humans.
Mhm.
There's so many things happening that are behaving the way we shouldn't behave. But you're so right. You're still in the same club. And I know I really wanted to make it clear that I feel that we're luckier in a way,
Mm.
but it's still really shit. And it's really shit sometimes. And sometimes I'm sure, Neil would agree, we don't get it right. Judging what is ADHD, what is anxiety, and what's bad behavior. It's really hard.
That's a triple question, isn't it? A triple threat.
Right, how long have we got? But,
Yeah.
sometimes it is bad behavior, and actually you can't really do that. We can't behave like
Yeah.
that. Do you know what I mean? And then how, as a parent, how do you react to that? Well, we're not in the 90s anymore. It's not just one size fits all. It's not in a box, but it also still has to be dressed behavior.
Yeah, it does. It's very funny as well. We'll talk about behaviour in the schools and because my mum found a piece of paperwork from my old school. It was in 2006, and it was a letter back to home, and it said that Nathan was being destructive in class. He threw a pen lid at some kid's head, and then he followed it by a glue stick, and then on the way out he swore or something like that. And it was just a detention, and I was like, that's completely and utterly bad behaviour. And I said, and I just got detention. But then I'm also really confused because that's 2006. I'm looking at 2025 paperwork of my son that's having to come back at lunchtime to practice sitting still.
No.
For the sake, and I'm like, when did it become that the symptoms are the problem behaviour? Like, they don't even get to the point really now in schools of that bad behaviour threshold, because they already get the tension off the tension just for losing a pen or forgetting to sit still or standing up in the class too early or something. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
It shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be allowed.
No.
Because that is a symptom of ADHD. End of. We know that because we've read that however many times. But how's that got away with that? How is that?
And it's very common. As I said, it's everything. I'm talking to all the parents, everyone in my comments. It's everything is an attack on the symptom. It's not about the person or what they've done. It's the attack on the symptom. They can't concentrate. They're not paying attention in class. They're not. And you're like, they've got ADHD and you're just giving the symptoms back. And it's almost like even that's worrying, isn't it? That if you've got a diagnosis, the school's got it, and they're still giving the symptoms back and not thinking that's connected. And
Yeah.
like, I very rarely see paperwork or parents come to me when they're talking about, yeah, my kid just struggles, he keeps getting in fights.
Yeah.
That's not even getting to the point. We're not even getting to the point of fighting and disruptive and throwing stuff like I was and swearing in class. This isn't happening. It's literally just uniform policies, even. It's even not even being in the classroom, just not having the right uniform punishment.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
I know, I know. But then this is interesting. So we've had this with my daughter. The texture of the clothes, the feeling of the clothes. She's
Mm.
more comfortable in her PE kit. But, you know, she wore it for years, but they want them to wear the proper uniform. But at this point, it doesn't matter anymore. We're like, at this point, we're so close, it doesn't matter. But it all sort of made sense. And it was things that they were trying to make them go into boxes. And I was always like, I just don't care, to be honest, enough. I know, shoot me down. But I was like, I just don't care. You know, I want our kids to get up, be happy, and go to school. If they were
Yeah.
okay, I don't care what they're wearing. But that's another sensory issue. There's so many. It's like, how would I describe it? It's like a spider's web, isn't it? There's so many different symptoms. And once you get the diagnosis, they all fit in and you're like, okay, so that's why she never wanted to get out of her pajamas, because she felt comfortable in that material.
Yeah.
He used to have hate labels. It's a massive thing. We know that now.
Yeah.
Talk
No,
about
I
it.
was the same.
You know, he was going through security. My kids don't like wearing their sunflowers, so I wear it. But they're so tall, quite often they think we're not together anyway and I'm not their mum. He went through before me and someone went, can you just stand still? Well, of course I saw red and said, this is his, he can't. She was amazing. And she said, I'm so sorry. And then my boy was like, for God's sake, mum, you're so embarrassing. And I was like, no, we've got to say it, because there could be someone there who hasn't got a voice, and they have to respect what that is. And I've also been asked, well, what's wrong with them? I said, you're not allowed to ask that, so I'm not answering. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's lots of views.
All right, doctor, because you're going to know what was that information I give you now.
But also, they're not allowed. They're not allowed to do it. The whole point is, it's like, this is there for a reason. You know, I'm yet to meet someone that goes onto the Sunflower website, orders a lanyard because there's nothing wrong. I've not met anyone. But it's like, give us a bit of space. We might need a bit more time. It might not look how you think it should look. But this is where I'd say our generation, we're getting there. And by the time the kids are older, the kids at my age, it'll be different still. But it's about education.
Yeah.
But is it easy? No. Have they still, even though they had their diagnosis fairly early, have they still had all those negative comments in their head? Were they still masking, especially my daughter? 100%. Do they feel things differently? Yes. They feel things differently to a neurotypical brain. It's still there, even with like their biggest cheerleaders, my husband and I, it's still there, and it's trying to make it okay, trying to make how they live their lives okay, and then being confident in saying, actually, I can't do that, or I'm not doing that, and having that voice. And it's still not,
Yeah. I've spoken about this to someone else as well, but about workplace being a lot more adaptable to,
yeah,
and like being, if you really think about work, you'd think that it'd be the other way around, but workplaces are like really highly adaptable to needs. And if you I wouldn't advise anyone anyway to put it on a form. If you're applying for a job, you don't have to put that you have ADHD or
yeah,
autism, but when you're there, you can disclose if needed. So if you
yeah,
need to struggle and you have to come up, they can't do anything about you not disclosing it. But when you do, and actually being a registered manager, so I know executive process again, when you've got someone that's got it,
yeah,
it's very, very protected. Even anxiety, even depression, mental health, all of that.
yeah,
School, don't care. College, rarely if you get a good one. Why is it adults, like if you think they're kids and you're not letting the kids get the same chances that an adult would get in a workplace? So they've lied their whole way through saying that
yeah,
you're not going to get help, not going to get help. Go to the workplace and they're like, oh yeah, no, you can do this. No uniform, don't want to wear that. Oh, that's fine.
yeah,
Like, it's just not that serious anymore.
yeah, yeah. There's bigger things to deal with.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the problem is at work, are you working or are you not? If you're able to work, then you're working. If
yeah,
everything else is the thing, it's not about uniform, it's not about really, well, it depends where you work, but mainly about uniform and pretty loose, like reasonable adjustments. Even some places, like even nowadays, it's flexible from working from home.
yeah, yeah,
Why are we not mimicking that in schools? Why is it so forbidden that we don't have that in schools? Like if you're going to go to school to go somewhere to confirm and then go away and work at home anyway, what's the
yeah,
big deal about the kids not actually being in?
yeah. And it's. But where do you think we're going with it? How many years does it have to go on like this? How many do they have to sit in a box if they're not at a special school? And some friends' kids do go to different schools where, yeah, it's easier for them and they can get up and do what they want. But not everyone needs to have that certain environment. But are we getting there? Is it changing, or do we need more voices? Because I know there's a lot of
Yeah.
parents actually clinging on, just trying to make it okay for their kids surviving.
I think we need a lot more voices unanimously, and I think it is. I've started to see the change, even like the last 6 months, about the people that will come forward, and I think more likely you're getting people saying yes than people are. Oh, I don't want to talk about that. So the confidence is growing.
Yeah,
It's definitely growing with the with us with the voices. But I also think that if ADHD is everything to be believed, um, it's not going to be long before everyone has one in their family. Because
yeah,
to be exactly like, so that's the other thing is, but much as the voices and us speaking up about it genetically, I would say if we're not close to half already because
yeah,
of that reasoning, we're going to be close to it. And if not, ADHD will finish the rest of it off. Because, like I said, there's one irresponsible 13, Jesus Christ, don't know where I'm going. One irresponsible, like 18 to 21-year-old ADHD person, which is going to be unrisky and do the high things that happens, is a very common theme.
yeah,
Then there's a family, another family's created, there's neurodiverse.
yeah,
And through the generations, through that, I think most people would find at the moment they probably do have someone in their family with ADHD or autism
yeah,
already. So when people start realizing that, that will soften the blow, because you can't argue against your own family.
yeah,
So when they do get like that, little children might not have it now, but their children might have a child that their
yeah.
grandchild child might be, which then again will hope with the voices then match up, and hopefully then
I know.
SEND pathway. I mean, even in the school, the SEND units, that's what it reminds me of. It's just a place that they're going to put all these SEND kids, but
Yeah,
where that's not going to work when they're half the class. You can't put half the class segregated. Like,
I know, I know.
it,
And
it, yeah.
levels, isn't it? It's levels of need, and, what works for one doesn't work for another. Actually, our kids, they couldn't be in the same situation doing the same things. It's different rules for them. They, from
Mm,
the same parents, and they could be so different.
yeah.
And I find the more and more people that I talk to, they have someone or someone close to them who's neurodiverse, and you're like, oh, you have the conversation, right?
It's getting, as I said, it's getting closer. There's more and more people available for this conversation, because not necessarily, and mates. Don't forget mates. Mates are a good one. My mate has someone, so the awareness is getting through, because people are like having to deal with it on a daily basis, because it's not just that much in school; it's that much in real life.
Yeah,
Like, so your mate's going to have a thing, or it might be your auntie, or even your cousin. Like, it doesn't have to be your brother or your sister or your mum or your dad. Do you know what I mean? It could be
yeah,
extended family. And when you're looking at that umbrella, God, you've got everyone's got to be touching at least one person neurodiverse, whether they know it or not.
yeah. Or if that poor person's masking for God knows how long.
Yeah.
The problem, isn't it?
It is sad as well when they're the masking thing, because I think there's so many people, and I think some of them are coming around now, but it's too late for like real old generation, that they missed out on the chance of even thinking it was a possibility, that it wasn't, that there was even a reason.
Yeah,
I think they probably hid all of their struggles to themselves, and it wasn't open, and everything they went through was very internalized.
yeah,
And it's sad, isn't it? And as much as they do give off comments every so often, you can understand it, because if you don't believe that, no, it doesn't really happen, you have to then reflect on your whole life and realize that you unpicked everything you know about yourself. And
yeah,
it's
yeah. And, there's so many, as we said, that looking in the mirror for our own children and thinking, okay, but at least we can learn here. We're not going to make those mistakes. And it's not,
yeah.
it's getting at my parents' generation. It's not that, because it was different. It wasn't
Mhm.
even a word. You know, I didn't really know about ADHD. I knew about autism, but I didn't know about ADHD, even when I was thinking something was with Bruno. Um,
Yeah.
I didn't know. So that's, 15 years ago.
I mean, the reason, I'm pretty sure this is the reason. Oh, well, it's heavily the school, because I got to spend it on open day. So that, because my first school, the primary school, didn't believe in it. It was very new. They wouldn't even go entertain
Yeah,
that. It was very Catholic. It wasn't anything to do that.
yeah.
Secondary school, a completely different approach. Yeah, you can definitely take him to doctors and referred. But I remember just before that, you remember Super Nanny?
Yes.
I was watching Super Nanny, and I don't know why this has stuck with me forever, but I was watching Super Nanny, and there was an ADHD kid on there. And I was watching it, and I was thinking, my God, I turned around to my mum and said, see, I'm not that bad. And I remember it being like 2 months after me saying that statement, I got diagnosed with ADHD. And I remember thinking, oh my God, that was horrific to see myself. Like, I can't be the same as that kid. Like, I
Yeah,
need to find an episode, because that kid was awful. Like,
yeah. I'm not as
winding up.
easy as him.
But when it's like not just ADHD, when it's just gone past and you're just being absolute, like, it just
Well,
terrorizing the family.
when you don't feel understood, when you've had years of you can't conform, that's why. That's why the blow ups
Yeah.
happen.
But that was the criteria. As I said, so they would have looked at that episode and thought, yeah, and then because I was normally at school there, but yeah, so that was the diagnosis threshold when I was younger, was if you was naughty enough, yeah,
Yeah,
you probably got ADHD. It wasn't to do with like sensory, it wasn't to do with if you're struggling. It was literally, yeah, like I said, about behaviour.
yeah,
It's crazy. Yeah, hopefully, as I said, I think we're on a good path. I think we're on an amazing path. I think what we're seeing as well is seeing again lots of people like us that are starting our own businesses because of this.
yeah,
And that's something that they can't mold or control, and that's something that's scary for them. And I think that comes into play against the resistance about SEN
yeah,
and the positive light on SEN, because
yeah.
you can't teach. Not only can you tell a kid that school's not actually to make or break, also you could actually start a business at 11 or 12 this day and age.
Well, you
Like,
see it. You see these
yeah.
kids.
Do you know what I mean? Like, even little things. That's when Calvin school. That's what I was thinking. You said entrepreneurship. That's the first thing I thought.
Yeah,
What skill have you got that you can monetize? What time can you put onto it? Because it's social media. What they're
yeah.
teaching in school is not relevant to the real world. What they're doing at home is relevant to the real world. Watching the shorts, going in and this is what they're doing, like in real life. And this is what the world is now waiting for our generation, because this world exists, to be the forefront of it. So 11, 12-year-olds will take this down because we don't know the insides out of the algorithms like they
No?
do already. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and it's just preventing it. And when more and more people are doing this younger and younger, they're going to have a problem
Yeah,
because school will not be needed. And that's where it's going to be a problem when you get parents that go, okay, actually, we can do it better ourselves or somewhere else. And when we
yeah,
realise that, what they're going to do then, they're going to go to crisis because they're going to lose half the population of school.
yeah. Because there's options. And
Hmm.
that's what it comes down to, is options. Ultimately, our life, our choice.
Yeah. Well, the only reason that they start school so early, isn't it? It's for the control. It's because they wanted them to know where kids were because of the working conditions, and so they didn't get put out for work. So that's a good excuse for that time, the 1800s. But we don't need to know where kids are from 8 o'clock till 3:30 now. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's crazy. You
yeah.
could let them have freedom. Let's see what they can create with the freedom they've got, with the phone calls, with the phone calls, with the equipment they've got, with the YouTube, with the
Technology, yeah.
knowledge, with the Google that we didn't have access to ChatGPT. Oh my God.
I
Like,
know.
you're really now just restricting kids from being able to access all of that and telling them that's not good and that's not the way the world works. And it's a lie. It's a lie.
Oh, it's changing the world. It's scary. It's scary to the older generation. It's quite scary to someone like me. But
Mhm.
it's fear and it's difference. And it ties in with so many things that we've spoken about. Just 'cause it's different doesn't mean it's wrong. Just because it's not your way doesn't mean it's the wrong way. And actually, the future is changing. I've lost you, Bruno. Bruno, are you back?
Oh,
Can you
thank
hear me?
yeah.
I was just saying, Bruno, he's gaming, and I was like, oh, it's frozen because we're both using the Wi-Fi. I was telling him to come off, but he didn't hear me.
Ah, right.
No, it's all right, darling. I was going to ask you to come off the gaming because we're recording. It's all right. That's my life.
But no, that's it. Yeah. No, you know, I hope as well. I hope that with our kids' generation as well, that gives them the power to talk about it freely.
Yeah,
I can imagine like our kids now that are growing up and getting to the age that we talk online about it, the time they get it is a different speech, isn't it?
yeah,
Like, it's a different, oh, I know this person, I know this person, this person. We're very segregated at the moment and
yeah,
we're trying to come together where there will be a lot more. It would be nice to see what their kind of approaches to where we see like like, like people social media now, like the ADHD advocates and stuff. I wonder what
yeah.
that looks like in 10, 15 years.
Yeah, and we'll have moved forward, and that's because
Mhm.
the parents here like, "No, this is what we're doing, and it's fine." Saying to those people, "You can't actually ask what's wrong with my kids. It's not all right, so you're not going to ask it," and, advocating that way, letting them do, as long as they're safe, letting them be those relaxed parents for it to work better for them so they have a voice. I always say you can say things to adults if you're not happy, as long as you're not rude. If you say, "Actually, I don't
Mhm.
really," that's okay, and I've always said that to them since they were tiny. You can say no. You've got a voice. We're not in Victorian times. They're allowed to have
Yeah.
a voice, and say which way works best for them. And it might not look the
And they
same.
should have a voice, shouldn't they? They should be promoted for that because it gives them insight into them feelings. I don't think they get asked enough about what would work for you.
Yeah,
Like, do you know what I mean? It's just the ultimate question of, and even like sometimes EACPs and stuff, and it's really baffles me that they're the worst decision makers sometimes and have the worst knowledge about the children, and they don't even ask the children the simple question of what would an ideal school day look like for you?
yeah,
Something that I should be think there should be a requirement, even if you just don't log it or it has an influence on what the plans are.
yeah,
Just something that's registered that kid has spoken out and said what an ideal they would look. They don't. Some schools do. Don't get me wrong. The really good
yeah,
ones would have that as part of it, and it would be led by that. But it's so common that it's not. And by the time you've argued for a year and a half to get the ACP, the kid's been out of school for a year and a half. He doesn't even know. Like, like,
it's too late. It's just,
Yeah.
and that's where we're falling down. And, also parents are worn down. You have multiple kids with multiple needs and nothing's diagnosed and you're just trying to survive and be the best parent you can. And I just want to touch on it. It's not easy. Just because our life is glossy,
Mhm.
it's not easy and it's exhausting. And sometimes it's mentally draining for everyone. And sometimes you do need a bit of help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as a whole as well, ADHD very is look like that. Even if you think about how we present to like each other, like I suppose to like even to your work colleagues, and it always seems in snapshots very upbeat. They've got the world. Oh my god, they're doing 5,000 things, and then they don't. When we go missing for them times and periods, they don't understand. Like it's the complete opposite. It's I can't even function to do any of that. Like my brain's
Yeah.
broken.
It's
Like so,
fucking
I had a shell
exhausting.
life.
Yeah. It's like seesaw, isn't it? And
Yeah,
I mean, one of the traits, which is a handy one, is we can ignore people. So
yeah,
actually, when you get overwhelmed, it's an amazing thing. I just don't talk. Try and talk to
mm,
me. Like even my husband and I might sit on the sofa under a blanket. He might be down here on his own, and that's all right. We don't have
yeah,
to, because you are just overwhelmed, exhausted from. It's basically fighting. It's
yeah.
fighting, you know, for them, for myself, and sometimes those hard bits. We don't talk about it a lot, but you can just disappear and that quiet downtime.
In a way, it's quite exciting for me. Well, because I feel like we are going through history right now because it is going to be a scandal. It's going to come out like it's all. But it's almost like you hear about the suffragettes and you hear about like the racism movements and stuff.
Yeah,
And now this is like we're part of one. Like it's
yeah,
like, oh, I didn't expect to be part of one in my life. Like I thought it was all
yeah,
done now. And the
yeah.
fact that we've got
All
such
going
a
to meet.
creative like a SEN movement that's going to have to go
Yeah.
through national wide change and even approach. It's
And
crazy.
together, as we said, we attract people that are neurodiverse. It happens. And you think, oh my, I get her, I get him. What about this? Are they neurodiverse? Have you ever diagnosed? It's a movement. So it's turning the positive on it, but it's knowing that day to day isn't always rosy. There's a downside. And you sort of need that movement as much, even more then, to know there's a normal downside of
Yeah.
ADHD.
I think for all my experience of ADHD, I've learned it doesn't go away, but you can learn to manage it. And that doesn't mean that all of them's going to go away. But what happens is you accept it, and once you accept and start accepting that that's something that you just have to do,
Yeah.
it becomes less of a challenge instead of fighting it all the time or trying to improve or then thinking that, oh, I should be able to do it. But it's going to happen. Again, just don't let it affect everything. If you kind of learn like, okay, I've done this for 3, 4 days, I'm probably not going to be able to do 5, 6, 7 on the trot, doing
Yeah.
12, 16 hours a day. You learn little strategies, don't you, throughout the way? So
Yes.
it's just not that it goes away. You just get better and adapt around it.
That Monday morning, I work so many hours on a Monday, funny that, and then by
Mm.
the time we get to Friday, I'm done. I'm done, and I work
Yeah.
so many less hours because that's how my brain works. What's in front of you is important. Our best friend, she lost her mum really recently, and at her mum's funeral, I was like, "Shit, I never sent a card. I'd sent flowers, but I forgot to send the card." And she said, "It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
I know, you're here. It doesn't matter." Whereas someone else would be like, "I'm really offended because Anna didn't send a
Yeah.
card when my mum passed." Do you know what I mean? But that just
Yeah.
was to me, I was like, "Okay, I've sent her flowers. I'm really worried about her." And then the next thing skipped a beat. It just wasn't there. But it doesn't mean you don't care.
Yeah.
It's
No.
that whatever's in front of you. And actually, maybe that week there was things going on that had to step in front of it. Always chasing my tail. I'm always 10 minutes late. Do I care? No. At this point, no. When I message you, I'm not 10 minutes late. You're like, fine.
Mm.
Because you get
Yeah.
it. You understand. In the big scheme of things, does it
I
matter?
pray for it. I pray for people to be late. I'm not, yes, thank you. And
Yeah,
to
no,
say it
of course.
first. Yeah, yeah. I try to hold that as late as possible to see if they're going to delay it. And then when they don't, I'm off. I'm going to have to be, I'm the one in it, going to be late today.
But it doesn't matter in the big scheme of things. But this is where conforming isn't always the right way. Like, I find it really hard to be at the right place at the right time. I even try say it's half an hour early. I'm still 10 minutes late. So what's the point? Does
Yeah.
it matter? No, it doesn't matter. The people that love you, the people that care for you, they don't mind.
I don't
They
care. Yeah.
don't mind. And whatever's in front of you is the important thing. And 9 times out of 10, it's the kids. Sometimes it's the business, and it has to be. And, they're amazing at adapting. Like, do not come in the kitchen. Mum's on a really important call. They're brilliant at that. When are we eating? Don't know. What we eating? Who knows? But we'll eat. It'll be fine. That's entrepreneurship. And, it's very important to me. But it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because I'm not waiting for a school bell to ring and be 10 minutes late. I just don't care.
No, I think that's a really good idea, actually. Slightly off topic for the podcast, but something really nice if it is possible. So, like, you do your holidays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, so I take it like package deals and all of that.
Yeah.
If there's something I want to do is give them back to the community, if I manage to, could I like work with you to buy one
Yeah.
off you that I could give to a parent
Yeah. We can do that.
that would kind of like specially tailored to be like if they've got autistic kids and stuff? I think that'd be great.
So my host company, and I've just done the training. We are partnered now with Sunflower.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
inclusivity agent. So yeah, absolutely, that'd be amazing. What a lovely gift. We can do something.
Yeah, and I think because it's just stuff like this, isn't it? And I think the more
Yeah.
we support each other, and again, this is what I love about it because it breaks the barriers. That no, I can't believe the different types of people I'm talking to. Like where we're all the same, but coming from
Yeah.
such different backgrounds, professions, and all sorts. Like it's weird to me out still that I could be talking to a teacher who's been in a profession for 13 years and still be on equal footing. I'm like, I
Yeah.
wait on my debt here sometimes. I'm like, Jesus, I'm trying to keep up. But I'm like, no, like, do you know what I mean? Like that is crazy, but
Yeah.
it is because we live the same thing, isn't it? And it's just nice to be able to. Again, they're creating a problem because if we've got the whole world covered between our professions and we
Yeah.
don't need any of them,
Try and knock us
who
down.
cares?
Like we said, with the private care versus NHS, it's just the same. It's just a bit more glossy. It's a bit more
Yeah.
glossy, and you might get a cup of coffee. It's the same doctors. It's the same staff.
And don't think again, and this is the thing about private, I think people do misunderstand. Don't think just because it's private, yes, that you pay for it, but that's the only difference you get. So
Yeah.
because you pay for it, you might get an assessment quicker. The
Yeah.
support afterwards, anything that you're talking about, even sometimes medication, is not there. It's still
Yeah.
the same. You still then come back to being a regular person like us. So you
And
might
yeah.
extra be able to maybe get a assessment or a diagnosis quicker. That does not buy you anything else. It won't. You can't get anything else for that. And even then, you run the risk of NHS or any type of support for EHCPs, then turn around and say, well, it's not relevant because you didn't get it with NHS. So it really, really doesn't really put you in a position that's even better. It's just, again, it's a good chance that you can have that option if you're able,
Yeah.
but it doesn't give you a head start. It doesn't mean you're winning. Do you know what I mean? It's really, really, yeah.
You still get a diagnosis, you get the prescription. As I said, you have to hunt down the medication. Hopefully, you've got a pharmacy that you get along with, but it's still that same stress. It's
Mhm.
still the same. Actually, I'm laughing. I was saying to you, got a parking ticket. Also got a speeding fine trying to get it last time. So I managed to tick both boxes because I was so stressed trying to get it for our daughter. And then
Oh,
I
yeah.
did one of those speeding fine things. That was interesting in the summer. Imagine how that 3 hours long, so boring.
Well, I had a speeding ticket before I got my license for my car, and the reason I didn't get my license for my car is because this happened anyway. So got a ban anyway. Then I had to wait 5 years. Then got a speeding ticket on the last week of having a motorbike. How annoying! So when I got a car, I didn't even realise. By that time, I'd missed. I knew the speed awareness course, and I missed it like a twat by an
It's
accident.
not
Got the
interesting.
date, got
It's
the wrong
boring.
week, and then got whacked with 3 points. So when I went to get insurance, it was 3.5 grand for my first year. I was like, oh.
Oh no.
Yeah, but then again, it's an agency figure. It's a normal person. Right, okay, I need to do this. It's the most
Yeah.
important thing I could think of. It went straight out of my mind.
Yeah. ADHD tax.
Yeah, mistake that was. 3 years on the insurance before that comes off.
It was funny when I was on the call doing the thing, what's it called, speed awareness. He kept chucking people off. I was like, I've really got to try and concentrate for 3 hours, and it's so boring. But I was like, I got away with not getting the points because I did the course, and I was like, I've got to look interested for 3 hours for something I'm not
Why were
interested
they
in
chucking people off?
Hmm?
Why were they chucking people off?
because they weren't listening. And I thought those people might be neurodiverse. Was
I
how
didn't
my
know
mind
that.
was going.
Yeah, I didn't know you could get chucked off the course. That doesn't
He was,
Right.
he was brutal. He was like, "No, you're not listening to me." Oh my god!
Oh,
All
fuming.
those things that
Fuming.
becomes your everyday life. Trying to get a medication, rushing because you're panicking.
Yeah. Yeah, just what I mean. You know, you can probably see the most ain't like hardcore like boy racers, like just going around all the time in flash cars and getting speeding tickets. So it's probably the first offence.
Yeah.
Like, chill out. Like, do you know what I mean?
Trying to help your daughter. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Yeah. Oh God. No, I think this has been an amazing podcast, and I really think that this is going to help a lot of people. And I think it's
Brilliant.
very good to. Again, it's just enough. Every conversation that we have like this is it's shaping the future. It
Yeah.
is. It really is.
And
And it is. But
it's a movement, and we're all coming together. You're
Mhm.
doing amazing things, and I know how hard you're working. I know you're obsessed with it, and you are 7 days a week like me, and then a crash.
Yeah.
But we do all need to come together, and whether that's a conversation with another mum or another, one of their kids' friends. Who, yeah, of course they're welcome at this house. Doesn't matter if they're not going to eat my food. Doesn't matter if they're not going to sit down and bang at the piano and dance in the garden with the dog. Doesn't matter. They're welcome. And it's the awareness and sort of coming together.
It is. I think that's a very powerful thing you said about the mates and stuff, because I think there's the way I see it, I don't think that the people are that reluctant to have their kids, their mates' kids around. I think that their fear of their kids' behaviour, the
Yeah.
mum gets scared about having the kid around. And it would take something like one of their mates going, "Do you know what? I don't care about the behaviour. I'd rather, I just want to see you. I want to see the," you
Yeah.
know, that would go a million miles more than any other support they can get. Just
Yeah.
having someone that close to them take away the stigma about them having to say anything.
Yeah.
That's important. Yeah.
It's really important, and that's the movement that you mentioned, all
Yeah.
coming together.
Yeah, no, that's it. I hope we could do it. I said during the app as well, innit? So you're gonna see in there. I'm
Yes.
hopefully gonna get. I said I'm gonna work together, and we're gonna hopefully be able to give a giveaway to the parent.
Yeah,
Oh my
let's do
god, love
something.
that. I can't like think
Yeah,
of anything
great
better.
idea.
Yeah, and just it's just gonna be what this year's gonna bring. God knows,
I'm
but
excited.
we'll be there. Well, as I said, we'll both be there. We'll be speaking about advocating. I
Yeah,
definitely want to get another episode on race and
yeah,
stuff like that.
please.
Um, Hopefully in a few months' time, well, maybe a couple of months' time when people are a bit more warmed up. But if I start with the teaching and soften them up,
Yeah.
they might be not as shocked when I come in with race.
There's gonna be lots of comments on that one, isn't there? Can you imagine? 'Cause it's raw. It's raw, but it needs to be said,
Yeah,
doesn't it? It does link
yeah.
to it's such a big link to mental health and awareness. So yeah, it all links back in.
And I'm piggybacking this SEN discrimination because if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it now when I've got someone backing me in another minority. So I'll do it when all 10 parents can understand.
Yeah.
I'm taking all of you with me.
It's there. It's
Yeah,
there. It's a thing. It's
yeah.
not in our heads.
But no, yeah, brilliant episode. No, brilliant episodes. And thank you very much for coming on.
Pleasure.
Obviously, I'm going to put your links out of your company, tag you in it and everything like that so everyone knows. And I think everyone should have a look. And if you're going to book a holiday this year, go to Anna.
Thank
Because
you so
yeah,
much.
that's it. I mean, even this, I take it away. I take that most of the stress as well. You take away from the parents in being able to organise what needs to go on. Because I haven't been abroad, right? And most of my problem about going abroad would be because I haven't been
Organisation.
abroad and everyone's used to it. Where do I go? What do I do? And even figuring out the hotel, this bit, and
Yeah.
just that, like, just even having a conversation with someone like you would
Yeah.
probably be amazing for anyone even
Make it
thinking about going
easier.
on holiday.
That's why I
Yeah.
was keen to do the partnership, and then they
Mhm.
announced, "Oh, Sunflower's partnering with us." I was like, "Brilliant, let's go. Let's do this."
That is amazing. Anyway, if any more reason for Sunflower is the club.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's great. So no, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you very much.